Hello and welcome back to another Tea Time with Meoni. This is a video series where I sit down with you guys as if you were in the same room as me and talk to you, because obviously I can't live stream and this is the best I can do. Hopefully you're all safe out there. I know a lot of crazy stuff has been happening in the world lately, and honestly I just hope that you're staying home, you're being sensible, you're being safe, you're, washing your hands. Obviously, everybody says that. Wash your hands, wash this, wash that. Make sure your hygiene levels are, up there. Make sure you're exercising, social distancing. Well, things in the UK have been pretty much the same, no matter where you live. We're in lockdown. We have patrols around the towns, around all of the roads. They've set up checkpoints. Police are pulling over cars, seeing where they're going, issuing large-scale fines. It's pretty crazy. I've never actually ever seen it like this, especially in England. It's certainly something that immediately I was quite worried about. But then you kind of get used to it. You kind of realize that this might be the way that things are going to be for quite some time. A lot of people are saying that this is going to pass over, this is going to happen within a few months or so. I don't really buy that, but there we go. Anyway, that's not why you came to this video. You didn't come here to hear about my thoughts and current position on coronavirus. Of all things, you came in here to actually listen to me waffle about video games, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So first of all, let's talk about a big elephant in the room, and that is the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it just recently got leaked. By leaked, I mean distribution centers were issuing copies early. There are even reports of people potentially, although not confirmed, there's no proof of this, but potentially stealing from their workplace, orders that may or may not be missing, stuff like that. People getting the game early simply because of the way that COVID-19 is impacting quite heavily on the distribution of the video game when it's coming out supposedly April 10th. A lot of people are actually getting dates now, especially in Germany. I've read on forum threads and obviously Reddit, where people are saying that they might get their game from April the 2nd, which is obviously quite a lot earlier than everyone else. But there are actually people right now in their rooms that have got Final Fantasy VII Remake, like the deluxe edition, in their hands and have had it in their hands for the past week, which is, quite interesting. I know that things are going crazy in the world, but I didn't necessarily think that it would affect things in this way. But, at the end of the day, can you really blame them? If the opportunity is there to legally obtain that game, then why not, right? But obviously, it's probably the best time, if you don't want spoilers for a game like that, to stay away from certain parts of the internet. Obviously on YouTube, this wouldn't be something you would see. If you do see people on YouTube with Final Fantasy VII Remake content past a demo, stay away, basically. There's a lot of people that are going to get caught out with this. People have been spreading pictures on the internet, obviously. I mean, we already had a decent amount of data mined sort of footage and images. It's a pretty messy thing indeed. The forum staff and Reddit staff have been pretty good on the Final Fantasy VII Remake Reddit. They're deleting posts as soon as they appear, but it's still not a great place to be. Now, you might be asking to yourself, how can you spoil a game like Final Fantasy VII that's been around, for years and years and years? Well, it's because this time around they're introducing new chapters, right? This first game in, 3 games, I believe they're making, it's got 2 discs. It's based entirely in Midgar, so the first chapter of the game if you were to play disc 1 of Final Fantasy VII, the original game, and has a ton of new characters, new environments. Apparently, you're supposed to be able to explore other sectors without spoiling anything, because obviously I've not looked at the leaks either. I'm keeping away from them. Supposedly, they've added lots of new characters, new dialogue, new cutscenes, new boss fights. So it'll be interesting to see. So this is stuff that you don't want to know about especially if it's going to link the previous, the prequel games like Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus. If you're going to link these sorts of games together, then you're going to need some, actually Dirge of Cerberus wasn't a prequel. Crisis Core mostly, and before Crisis. If you're linking that stuff together, then we might see overlaps of certain characters, and you really don't want to be spoiled about that sort of stuff. So just be extra vigilant when you're on the internet, because I stumbled across a couple of things I didn't want to in a very sort of passive area of the internet. I didn't think I would see what I saw, and obviously I'm kicking myself for going on there, but at the same time, it's pretty difficult to avoid some of this stuff. But at the same time, I am very excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake. In theory, I should get my copy on April the 10th. A bit of a funny story with this is I originally pre-ordered Final Fantasy VII from the Square Enix Europe store, mostly because I wasn't able to get a deluxe edition or a first class edition. In fact, I didn't want a first class edition, primarily because I've got nowhere to store the model, and I thought it would be better for me not to order that, simply because someone else who has that space could, use that order and place it on their shelves or whatever in a pretty cabinet, whereas I would most likely put it into an attic. So I stayed away from the expensive version. I was tempted, but I stayed away. But I did go for the deluxe edition in the end. But first of all, the deluxe edition and the first class edition were sold out on the Square Enix store. I wasn't able to get either of those. So I thought to myself, okay, let's just buy the basic version of the game, because I like physical copies from the Square Enix store, and go from there. Then I hear that Game, which is a retailer in the UK simply called Game, similar to your GameStop in America, essentially had the deluxe editions in stock. So then I decided to purchase and pre-order a deluxe edition from Game. And at the same time, I was like, okay, let's go and cancel that order from Square Enix. So in actuality, they refused to cancel my order. There was no kind of reason given, probably due to the fact that it's quite far into that, release schedule soon sort of thing. Maybe they're already sorting that order out. Basically, I was refused a cancellation, but I was also refused a cancellation of obviously Game as well. So at the end of the day, I kind of want to just have one copy, but unfortunately, due to the fact that I'm an idiot and I didn't think before I started placing another order and cancel that one first, or try to cancel that one first, I now have 2 copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake coming, a standard edition from the Square Enix store that comes with a lanyard, and the deluxe edition from Game, a retailer in the UK, that I believe comes in with like an iron-on patch that says Avalanche on it or something. I can't remember. There's a couple of like weird pre-order bonuses you get across the world for getting it from different stores. But yeah, the deluxe edition does look cool. Mostly because a book I can find a place for, an art book. I have a shelf full of art books, that's fine. A music disc, that's easy to find a place for. I can put that in the car and listen to it as I drive, which is ultimately the plan anyway. And the rest of it is pretty much the steel book, so I can keep my game somewhere nice. I am really looking forward to it. I don't usually pre-order games, okay? I only pre-order a game if I feel in my bones that it's going to be something that I want to invest into. And usually it's because of these limited availability items and things like that. There was a much younger version of myself many years ago that would just dream of getting the deluxe editions of games and wouldn't know how to save up money and certainly didn't have any form of income at all. And I used to dream about getting them. Now I'm actually at the point where I could get them. Now the problem is, where do I store all of the stuff? I'm sure there are other people like that out there that, we finally have the ability to realize some of our dreams of purchasing material objects and we have nowhere to put them, which is the sad story of life. If you're younger than 30 right now listening to this, then unfortunately that's the future you have, unless you go shelving mad. But then you start to find out that your room doesn't have enough walls that are load-bearing. And then you go into a whole cycle of depression, go, damn, if only I had a cabinet. And then you realize you can't get a cabinet in there. And then, yes, it's craziness. The only word I will say to you is IKEA. They're the best solution for things because you can build them in the room that you want them, especially cabinets. But this is for the future. But I fought against the idea of getting the Cloud Bike statue, the figure that comes with the first class edition, simply because nowhere to put it. But yeah, very excited for Final Fantasy VII. A little bit disappointed about the leaks, but kind of also understanding that the world's in a bad situation. So you're going to expect this sort of stuff to happen. The idea that people may have perhaps stolen copies from warehouses because they've been laid off or whatever, or they see this coronavirus thing as an opportunity to exploit people, that's just scummy. You should feel terrible about your actions if you're one of those people, and that's not cool, dude, because there are people who are relying on distractions to keep them busy, especially during this sort of time period where everyone's stuck in their house and we have to, exercise social distancing from people and our friends and family. Like, you can't go a mile away to visit your friends or family. You can't go and check on your grandma, for example, if you have one. This sort of stuff sucks, so we need as many distractions. And if you are literally trying to capitalize off of other people's suffering and to take that enjoyment away from them so that on April the 10th or 12th or whenever we finally supposedly get this game delivered, if you take that away from them, you are a horrible person. In many ways that you are worse than the virus itself. You're just contributing to so much pain. It makes me so angry deep down. Anyway, let's move on from Final Fantasy VII Remake, because obviously this is my tea time video and we have to talk about Final Fantasy XIV at some point. So 5.25, it doesn't have a release date. This is the, the Blades of Gunhilda, the Relic Weapon questline that we've seen snippets of in the 5.2 trailer. If you remember that far back, we had, little snippets of Cid coughing up blood at one point in the trailer. That's not really a spoiler since it's in the trailer. There's lots of different pieces from that trailer that are just like all the hype at the minute. We just want to see what they're all about. We don't have a release date. But what we can say is that judging by the fact that we have the Easter event coming up soon, in fact, this following week, it would be possible that we might get it the following week after that. I don't know. How are patches usually working? Like, 6 weeks apart or something? I'm trying to remember in the Stormblood series where this sort of patch fell, but I'm just drawing a blank right now. Somebody said the other day that the current hypothesis, I read in the comment section, the current hypothesis is that the events end on April the 6th or something like that. The week after that, or that particular week, we might see the patch drop, which would make sense because it's been an absolute ice age. It feels like it's been an absolute ice age. I know we've got the Ishgard restoration and that's kept some of us busy, but I've also noticed a massive decline in the amount of people logging into the game. Even with this stay-at-home situation, a lot of people are drawing a bit of a blank because there's very little to actually do in the game that's like brand new to them. And this is typical burnout. We get this all year round, basically. There's always a month or so where there's just a gap of stuff that interests everyone. And Ishgard Restoration only tailors mostly to people who like gathering and crafting, especially with a new diadem. And now that the rankings are over and it's just all about the progression, you've seen the price of items crash completely. There's much less demand for turn-ins of Skybuilders items. So yeah, there's a lack of people online currently, and mostly because people are playing other stuff, right? There's plenty of other games out there. I myself have picked up Half-Life Alyx. I want to make a video on that. I've set up my Vive. I don't have an index or anything like that. It's way too expensive for what I want to do with it. But I've got my Vive. If you remember, I did a video in the past in VR. I'd like to hop into that and see how badly I can smash up my headset in my room from my bad reactions with shooting guns. That'll be fun. But yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. A few other things I've been playing lately. Animal Crossing. Oh my goodness. Have I been playing Animal Crossing? You've seen my little impressions video on that. It's not really a review, but my sort of Meopressions, how I felt about the game. That has consumed a lot of people. A lot of people that are very creative in 14 have got a Nintendo Switch, and between the queues of actually going to content, they're designing costumes, some of the most incredible stuff that I didn't think would be possible in such a small pixelized version on a Nintendo Switch screen. People walking around in Emmett Selk's outfit, for example. Somebody in our FC has created his outfit, and it looks absolutely exceptional. People are making like Aerith's dress from Final Fantasy VII. They're making, Yagiri, etc. It's awesome to see that sort of creativity. And that game, Animal Crossing New Horizons, does actually give you a lot of freedom in what you do. Personally, I've just filled my sort of island with Final Fantasy references and memes. I have a Namazu, which is like pleading for help, as my flag. I have the Chocobo theme as my doorbell theme tune, like my town theme. So you open any door, you talk to any person, and it sings the Chocobo theme. I was quite proud of that, but not very original, I'll admit. And I've also got drawings of Mamora all over the place, and other Final Fantasy XIV related memes and things like that, and outfits. I'm not the most creative of person when it comes to actually messing around with that stuff. Usually I'll just gravitate towards what's funny at the time. My town planning is god-awful. You should see it. I haven't got a single path in sight. I haven't unlocked any of that stuff. Mostly because I refuse to time travel. Now, which is something that a few people are salty about, but you play the game how you want to play it, like I said in that impressions video. But some people have time traveled towards the end of the game, let's say. They've seen the end credits, they've gained access to terraforming, and some of their islands look exceptional. What would usually take, a year, maybe 2 years to actually get there normally? They're at that point, and some of the stuff is just exceptional. I use that as kind of like a basis for my own enjoyment. If I can see people loving the tools that they have at the end of the game, it gets me more excited for when I eventually get there. It doesn't make me too cranky. I'm not going, I need to time travel myself now. No, I have some self-restraint, and I want to actually exploit that. But at the same time, I love playing with those people who have their fully fleshed out islands. I love to see what creativity they can, inject into such a game. And honestly, with 14 the way it is at the minute, with a little bit of a lull, it's a great opportunity, and an even greater opportunity with more people online to play these games. But apart from that, there's not really been too much. I've been considering picking up Doom Eternal. A lot of my friends have played that. It looks exceptional from what I've seen. I've watched a few live streams lately of that. But for the most part, it's been, me just chilling out on Animal Crossing. I've done a bit of leveling in Final Fantasy XIV. My dream of getting everything to 80 is slowly getting there, but I'm not really putting as much effort into that as perhaps I should. I want the Amaro mount. That's one of my next goals, mostly because everybody else seems to have worked hard to get there, and I'm slacking badly in the corner there. And it's usually in these sort of lulls between content is when I do that stuff. As for the channel, I'm trying to upload stuff as frequently as I can. You will have noticed that the number of videos going out is much less, and the quality is docked as well, thanks to YouTube's new bandwidth allocations and restrictions on what sort of bandwidth videos get. It seems to only affect new videos. Like my older stuff still seems to be in 1080p 60 frames, a lot of it. But the newer stuff, the quality is abysmal, frankly, with the same render export settings and upload settings. But it is what it is. If we have to dock the quality of videos just for the purpose of actually having them up there for people to watch and listen to, then I'm all for it. You'll notice in this video, it's pretty much just stock footage, something that doesn't move too much, just to lower the file size that ultimately comes out of this. We don't really want to make this too big of a video because it'll just take forever to upload. This should probably be ready for Monday. I'm not sure if this is going to be uploaded on the 29th, which is when I'm recording this. It's just one of those things. You just have to put up with it, and we'll go forward as we go. But it doesn't affect me making videos. I still have all of the passion in the world for Final Fantasy XIV and other games. You'll see that I've used a lot of my other free time to make Trials of Mana video. I loved that. I love the reception you guys gave me. You kind of gave me a bit of confidence towards that, even though it's a glorified playthrough, a bit of a let's play, let's say, which are pretty much, everywhere on YouTube. But I was very happy to see the reception, and I do love the Mana series. Secret of Mana is my favorite. Seiken Densetsu 3 is a game I've never finished. So it's like, it's Christmas for me. And hopefully my passion comes through in the games that I choose to play. That's why I don't usually do Let's Plays and things like that. Because unless I'm passionate about something or have an actual varied invested interest into it, I'm not going to upload it to YouTube. Unlike a lot of people on YouTube that upload anything just for views, I don't feel necessarily obliged to do that. So there we go. Somebody criticized me the other day for uploading videos of pretty much anything in Final Fantasy XIV. I saw that as a bit of a compliment, really. And after seeing your feedback from the last tea time, a lot of you were just like, well, screw what other people think. You're doing fine, Meoni. Just keep doing what you're doing because it's entertaining the rest of us. And, we all like that resource of videos that you are making. And that really does cheer me up. A lot of people have said that. A lot of people have been fully behind my decision process in what videos I make and what I cover. And I try to be as honest as I can where opinions are necessary and, where they actually add something to the content of a video. I'm not going to sit there and put my opinions into everything. If it's a news piece, my opinions will be clearly stated if they're needed to be said. If it's something like housing demolition, I made that video mostly as a PSA. Some people found that like, oh, he's trying to cash in on spreading news. Well, no, but at the same time, kinda, because the idea is that the more people realize that news is relevant to them, if they can't perhaps visit a certain website or, if they just haven't seen that website's notification, then they'll be unaware of the housing situation and the fact that, they need to make sure that they go to their house and check it and log out, and they don't have to really necessarily worry about the demolition timer. The current thing with that, though, is there is a bit of a bug that I don't think will be enacted upon, but the housing demolition timer was accidentally triggered for some buildings the other day. When they said they were going to extend it, or rather turn off the demolition timer, they actually inadvertently created a bit of a situation where some people got emails sent to their account associated to their Final Fantasy XIV account through their associated email address, saying that their housing had begun the demolition process. So whether or not this is actually a thing, I would still advise, if you can, log into the game, go into your house at least once and then come back out again, just simply to check. I wouldn't trust it as far as I throw it, and definitely check your emails. If you did get one of those emails, then obviously try and get into the game. And if you can't get into the game, ask somebody that you trust if you can't log into the game. If you're locked in a specific part of the world that doesn't have access to 14, for example. It depends. There's a lot of people working in the armed forces, in the medical profession, that just don't have time to play the game. So that's the reason that the housing demolition timer should be halted. COVID-19 is causing a lot of disruption to a lot of people, and they shouldn't have to suffer so that when this is all over, they come back to the game and they're penalized. So it's a good thing that they're pausing the demolition timer, but also do make sure you check your emails, because that has been, unfortunately, a situation that people have been getting the demolition timer emails saying that their house is going to be demolished. Definitely check for that and visit your house if you can. But there we go. So yeah, Final Fantasy XIV, not doing too bad. I'm looking forward to 5.25. The Easter event, Hashing Tide 2020, starts on Monday, the 30th of March, so literally just the other side of today. And yeah, I'll be covering that as much as physically possible. It's going to be a 2-phase event, so we're getting the first thing tomorrow, and that lasts until Sunday, the 5th of April. And then after the Sunday, the 5th of April, that lasts until Monday, the 13th of April for the second phase. And the second phase, we get a slightly different variant, basically with like a collar on it and some cufflinks, like a more dapper version of the costume we get tomorrow. And tomorrow we get the bunny outfit. A lot of people are interested in this outfit. It's fully dyeable, usable by both genders. What's not to love? Apart from the fact that I hear on good authority that Viera will not be able to use the helm for this set. Now, when you hear that, you instantly think, well, why isn't it a head replacement model? Why is the bunny helm from this event not just a replacement head? They've done it before with many costumes, including the toad head, stuff like that. But apparently the bunny helm is not a replacement and doesn't appear, or at least from what I've heard so far, to work with the rest of the set on the Viera. They can use the actual body piece, the main piece of the glamour, which is quite cute and has a big fluffy tail, but I don't believe they'll be able to use the helm. I'm not sure about Hrothgar. I would imagine they're probably in the same boat, would imagine. They'll just have that big burly costume. But you have to think to yourself, how many events are we going to get through before they include Viera and Hrothgar in them? This is a sore point. We've believed for the longest time that we were going to get more advanced deliveries of things that were usable by all people. And even Square Enix themselves have said in the past that they want things going forward to be designed so that they can be used by all of the people that play the game. They don't want to have to retroactively keep going back and changing items to fit these new races. You know, Hrothgar and Viera are in the game now. They've been in here for this entire expansion. They're not that new. Unless you're telling me that they've had these costumes predetermined for months and months before in the past, and they haven't changed them since then, or haven't had the ability to change them since then, which, you know, I completely... That's fine at the end of the day. If that's the situation, then I'll accept it. But if they are being created brand new, they're coming up with these ideas and implementing them into the game post Viera and post Hrothgar being released, then that's a little bit unfortunate. What kind of budget do they need? Because they talk about budget quite often when you're talking about why they can't do this in the game, why we can't get a glamour dresser in our house. It always comes down to time and money. Now, the time aspect I can completely understand. There's lots of bigger, higher priority things such as the content creation, but there are different departments inside your company. It's ever growing. You're hiring more people than ever. Well, probably not right now, but you were hiring people exponentially. There was lots of new hires, especially on the community team. The design team I have no idea about, but I hear only good things from Square Enix about how many jobs are being created and how, you know, profitable 14 has been for the company. So it makes sense that they would be hiring more people, and perhaps we could see some of those other people, those interns or something, work on some of these designs. I'm sure that some of the artists and design team, the 3D render people, maybe one of them could work on, you know, making some of these costumes that you design work on these new character models. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit sad if we come into like the next expansion, for example, and we end up with another event item. Let's say we get a full-size Spriggan mascot outfit. Imagine we were actually a Spriggan, which is amazing, by the way. That was, you know, the trademark Meoni 2020. Imagine if we got a full-size Spriggan costume, like a proper Spriggan costume with the fluffy bunny ears as well. Right? Imagine that having the head missing on Viera in 2022. How sad would you be? You know, like a couple of years down the line since the invention, the innovation of, the introduction of Viera, and we still won't have like helms that work with them. It's a sore point because character creation is a big part of the game, and I know a lot of people are way more passionate than me. It's just, are these old designs, or are we actually reaching stuff that's being developed brand new now, or at least was being developed brand new? I'm not sure how badly they've been disrupted. We have to cut them some slack, right? All of these game development companies, they're going through the same stuff as us right now, but That's not to say that they hadn't had this stuff in the pipeline for the longest time. So I'm looking forward to the future, and I'm hoping that that future includes the ability to wear these outfits, these glorious, beautiful outfits that they design, and make it so that everybody who plays the game can actually use them. This comes back to the gender discussion as well, but we're not going to go into that today again. We've had that on the tea time before, and people reacted quite mixed about that. I'm sure there'll be some mixed opinions about this as well. But I don't know. I'm hoping that it's all complete lies and that Vieira can use the bunny helm tomorrow. But at the same time, from what I've heard, they can't. And that will ultimately make me quite sad. But I am looking forward to the event. It looks fun. The rewards are great, like the little housing item. I really look forward to getting that banner, actually, with Egg Hunter Riggy from 2018's event. That's going to be nice. I love collecting the posters from these events and just hanging them on my wall. Not really sure what they do. They just make the place look a little bit more, well, kind of lived in, I suppose. Kind of less bare. I really don't like putting pictures on walls. I know that's a really weird thing to say, but like actual pictures, you know, like scenes or portraits of people. I would much rather have banners and posters and stuff, but maybe that's just my teenage years coming through into the game as well. I used to have some really cool posters until they just basically rotted off the wall when I was a kid, like Metallica posters and stuff. Oh my goodness. Some of the stuff I had then, if I had not put it on the wall and kept it, I'm sure I would have got a fair amount of money for it now, reselling it. But then you can never do that, can you? Hindsight is a fantastic thing, and I always look back on those days and imagine if I could go back through a portal to my room a few years ago, like 10 years ago or something, and just take something off a wall, come forward in time, and then sell it. I would be very rich. Anyway, so what else have we been doing lately? Apart from that, it's just been all preparation for 5.25. I mean, there's not much preparation you can do apart from get everything you want to get a relic up to 80, right? Which is something I still am in the process of doing. I think I've got everything I want to 80 that I want a relic on. Apparently, the first phase of this new relic is going to be fairly simple. It's going to involve a solo duty and a quest with that particular class that you're wielding. So I don't see any problems with that as long as you can competently play those particular classes at 80. I'm not sure if this is going to have an item level restriction on it. We just simply don't know. The only restriction we know about the Blades of Gunhilda is that you need to complete the Return to Ivalice storyline because it follows on with some of their characters, which is obviously, and their plot, which is kind of cool. I really want to see Fran again, if possible. And maybe some more stuff to do with Ash. We haven't seen much of her. She was sort of hinted at, and we've not really seen much of her. So maybe they advance towards Bozjar Citadel is actually going to unlock a lot more of that storyline that we are sorely missing in the game. It's fantastic that they've got Matsuno-san back for that. I cannot wait to see what they've come up with in-house. And I'm really excited for that event, as you can probably tell. I've got my Red Mage at level 80. I love Red Mage. It's probably the easiest of the casters for me to play. I find Black Mage perplexing at the moment. But then I've not really dipped my toe into it too much. But I love my Red Mage. I quite like Summoner, but Red Mage is just very simple to use, I think. Easy to sort of pull off decent-ish sort of damage, I'd feel. Then I have my Dancer, which is my preferred physical ranged. Again, mostly because it's quite simple to slip into. It's like riding a bike, Dancer. It's a lot of fun, quite rewarding. It might be low DPS, but you're providing a lot of raid DPS with your buffs. And I really like that support role. It's something that I wish was its own actual role in Duty Finder in this game. I'm one of those people that thinks that would be an actual real addition to the game. I just miss the 5-player dungeons from World of Warcraft. Let me be honest. I do enjoy having that 5th person. It's always nice to have an extra person. But the 4-player mechanic does work. You know, I'm not going to say that it doesn't work. It's been here long enough. It's fleshed out well enough. But part of me does ache for that 5th person, that support role or that extra DPS. it would make things a lot easier. But yeah, apart from that, I think I've got Samurai level 80. I quite enjoy Samurai. It's a little bit weak at the minute, but well, at least I feel it's weak. But I don't play any of these at, you know, like a decent end game. I don't do Savage with them. Let me just preface that. The only class or job that I actually do Savage raiding in is my White Mage, and I love that to death. White Mage is... Oh, what is White Mage to me? I started the game as a Conjurer, I ended the game as a White Mage, and I will always be White Mages. I've ever since Burning Crusade back in World of Warcraft, where my raid group didn't have a healer, and I switched to Paladin, and then eventually to Priest, and then to Druid, as the expansions went by, I never looked away from healing. I've always sort of fit into that sort of healing role. I started playing MMOs as a DPS, though, like in World of Warcraft, which wasn't my first MMO, but my first real sort of raiding experience. I was playing a Warlock, doing mad sick deeps as an Affliction Warlock back in Burning Crusade. Had a lot of fun back then, but as soon as, you know, a healer's required, I'll fit that role, and unfortunately I was rather good at it at the time, and it sort of stuck with me ever since, and here we are in Final Fantasy XIV, many eons later, and I'm playing in Savage, raiding with a group of crazy people, doing my White Mage healing. I don't know if you saw my recent kill video. Somebody asked me why I sped it up, and mostly because you don't want to be sat there for 12 minutes. It's kind of not a fun thing to sit there for. Yes, I would get more revenue from the video if that's something that I would even remotely be considering, but it's just plain not. It's not fun to sit there for 12 minutes to watch something, or at least I don't think it is. And I kind of wanted to have some music to go with that, and most music at a stretch is going to be like 5 minutes, unless it's something that's, you know, not copyright free. Bear in mind, I have to find something that's available to put on a video that's not going to get me a copyright strike. So usually we're looking at sort of electronic music, which I happen to like anyway, and some drum and bass, or some rock music. It's very hard to find rock music that goes on for that long, though, that is copyright free. But, you know, I did what I did. I've been doing the same sort of style of those videos for the longest time now. I always upload a video of our kill, not necessarily a guide. It's kind of tricky to do a guide because as much as I would want to do that, it's too late into the content for me to do a guide and get any views. So I have to sort of judge whether or not people would want to watch a guide on E6S. I mean, there's so many on YouTube already. Surely it's just better for me to go, hey, look, this is our kill video, our clear video. This is what we did. Cool. If you want to see how to do the fight, you can just see the part that you're having trouble with. And hopefully, if the quality would allow for it, YouTube, then, which has currently been docked on that video, you'll see because it's a bit grainy. That's not my problem. That's YouTube's servers. You could actually pause and see how I do some of those mechanics. So it's pretty good to have a White Mage point of view. Hopefully you've been, you know, keeping a close eye. I've made a few mistakes in those videos, mostly clipping issues or me panic healing or getting to a point where I need to DPS heavily and then, you know, simply pressing the wrong button or casting Holy. That was one of the things because I fat fingered it. I use control modifiers in my mouse and yeah, I've cast Holy once or twice on a couple of those fights. And every time I look back at the footage, I'm just like, why would I press that? And yeah, or I usually get halfway through the cast and cancel it and end up casting Glare again. So I'm not the best White Mage in the universe, but I pull decent-ish numbers. I'd like to say anyway. I'm not going to be talking about passing because that's not something that we should openly talk about. But, you know, I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. But for the most part, the bosses are dying and we're learning as a group. And it's a great little group we've got. We're full of different sorts of characters and different opinions and different sort of stress thresholds before we need breaks. But we're a lot more successful than the previous teams that I've been with. And hopefully we can work on E7S and get a video up for that as well. It seems to be that the majority of the player base does say that E7S is easier than E6S, which I mean, boggles the mind personally, because we've always been stuck on a third tier, like a third boss of a wing. That's not something I've actually ever got past before in relevant times. I think the only time I've ever done that was in Heavensward with Alexander. I think that was with Midas. I can't remember now. I think it was. I don't think it was. It might have been Gordius. I don't know. But that's the only time I remember getting past a third boss of a wing during progress. I know that makes me look terrible, and I'm sure there are people. Oh, I know there are people way better than me that will look down upon my efforts and say, wow, he never managed to get that far in Savage Raiding. But at the same time, you have to remember, I can't dedicate that much time to raiding. I'm pretty much limited by my internet. I'm limited by the time I have because I try to make as many videos as I can, and these things don't take short time. Some people think it's just a case of recording your voice, pointing a camera, recording footage, and then uploading. No, there's such a lot of editing to go into this. Even if it's straight cut editing like I do, or, you know, simple transition stuff. If I'm doing a video with glamour, it's pans around that content, you know, camera angles. Try not to make people seasick, as I managed to do in one of my previous videos by spinning too much. There's a lot of stuff that I might do a lot slower than other people and other content creators, but at least I put the videos out there. That's all I'm going to say. There's some people out there that are making very infrequent videos, and that really irritates me, honestly. I don't know why, but if you're not going to put the effort back into it that you've been given the attention of, for example, if you're on, like, let's see, what are we? We're on, what, 50k subscribers or something now? I'm not sure. It's probably 55, I think I last checked. You don't get those sort of subscriber numbers and then go, you know what, I'm going to make a video every fortnight. Or if you do, then, and you can manage to make that happen, then hats off to you. Personally, though, I don't understand how you can see those numbers and not want to make content for people. There's obviously an interest, and I try to make as much as possible. I might not make the content that people necessarily always want, but that's always going to be the case. There's always stuff that's going to be on the channel that you don't like. I got dislikes on a funny video I made the other day, where called Choco Scree, where basically I screed along on the Great Serpent Mount along to the Chocobo theme. A little bit weird. Yes, I was completely like out of my mind at the time when I decided to do that, but I'd rather upload that than nothing at all. That's the sort of mood I was in. I just wanted to derp around, upload something. If one person smiles out of 1 million, actually, yeah, there's not 1 million people that would watch my videos. If one person smiles out of 1,000, then, you know, my job is completed. I'm not a clown. I'm not a paid professional entertainer. I just want to make stuff that makes you entertained in some way. And there's a variety of stuff that I like to do. I might not be good at all of it. I'm terrible at machinimation, but I still like to do stuff. When I have an idea for something, I'll jot it down and then I'll eventually do it. Like, you should see my notepad documents. They're full of weird ideas. Some of them more like normal than others. But people, for the most part, I think the reception is pretty good. As long as I keep the variety of content up and I still maintain some of the more serious or factual stuff, then I think I should be okay going forward. But at the end of the day, like, as much as you guys are the people that are watching the videos, I have to consider my own. As much as you guys are the ones like actively watching the videos, I do have to consider what I want to do as well. And ultimately, I don't think my decisions are really halted in any great way. If I see negative comments, then, you know, sometimes they get to me, but for the most part, you can just brush past them and get to what you're trying to do. I don't know. I find that these tea time videos help me as well. Like, I'm ranting a little bit, or at least venting. I think a lot of people like to see that sort of honest side of me, to see what's really going through my head. But yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Hopefully, I can continue doing this for the longest time. I have no plans on not doing it. It's one of the rare opportunities in the world where I can actually actively do something, make some financial income from it to help me scrape by through the world, but at the same time, in doing so, actually enjoy what I'm doing and enjoy getting out of bed in the morning and, rushing up here and creating something based on an idea I have, and then get crushed horribly by render errors or get crushed even further by upload speeds. But it would be so good. I've mentioned this a million times on these videos, but I wish I could live stream just so you could see some of the stuff I get up to. But these are things for the future for sure. Anyway, I think I've waffled enough today. I've taken enough of your time. I really do hope this thing blows over, man. I'm getting sick to death of hearing people suffering from this, or, having to be away from their loved ones, or not being able to attend funerals. That's gotta really, there's no way I can describe in words how bad that is. It's a real dangerous situation. So please stay at home and enjoy content. I might not be the best content creator. There are plenty of people on YouTube that are making stuff daily, hour by hour, to keep you entertained, myself included. I love watching content on YouTube. It might be, a bit of a job. Sometimes, you have to see it as a job to make these videos, but at the same time, I love watching other people's as well. It's a great place to be. And hopefully it continues to be before YouTube eventually docks the quality even more. Angry face. Angry white mage noises. There we go. Thank you all kindly for watching wherever you are. Try to enjoy the rest of your day. Please stay safe for next week and look forward to the Hatching Tide event. And then we have, we got Final Fantasy VII Remake on the 10th, in theory. Oh, that's going to be amazing. And then I believe, the 15th of April, something like that, Trials of Mana. I have my work cut out for me, for sure. But I can't wait to get stuck into those and do some playthroughs. So until next time, thank you kindly for watching. And I'll see you all next time. I said next time twice, but we'll go with it. Goodbye. Stay safe. Wow.